This is definitely one of those budget kits, but it comes up really nicely, as you can see. And the Big Ass Bird 2 scheme definitely got my attention. Interestingly, the plane still exists. It is a real plane. I was actually a little bit skeptical in the sense of, wow, is this a real one or was it an imagined one? But definitely Big Ass Bird 1 and 2 did exist. The original plane itself is in the Lone Star Air Museum in Texas. So very much a real plane. Interestingly, though, I guess to be family friendly or for whatever reasons, it was repainted into, I think, tar something. Let me know in the comments. It was repainted, I guess, from a perception point of view. Big Ass Bird, maybe, yeah, just it's a bit too controversial, who knows. Anyway, the kit itself, very nice. For what it is, I think I paid $30 Australian, so what's that? 15, 20 or something, US, UK, North America, wherever. What I'm doing here, I just, some budget harnesses made from masking tape, decals for the instrument panel, which is fine, it looks good. I got no big problems about doing this, especially for these type of kits. I would have no hesitation at all recommending this kit, either for beginner or someone who's younger. Just it's a very nice, simple way to get a nice P-47 together. The fit, no problems at all, no issues at all with even too much flash. Here I'm just removing a little bit. The engine and the cowling itself is one piece. It's a big chunk of plastic, that's for sure. But you can see the fit is no great problems at all. With the wings, I did have a little bit of a fit problem on the port wing, but in truth, that could have just been me rushing at the time. I did use a bit of tape and it all come good. So there's no real fit issues at all. Most of them, I'd say, my own fault, let's put it that way. At this point, it's starting to bring that smile to my face because it's like, wow, you start to see a real plane. And P-47 has such a unique or charismatic design. It's got, I can never figure out whether Disney designed the P-47 or Disney copied the P-47. It's just got that really 1930s vibe. The wing roots, there was a little bit of a gap, but again, I just can't say whether that was me or the kit. It was that fine that it's not a big problem, and I just come across with some Mr. Surfacer, filled that in, so no problems at all. The rest of it is pretty sweet. The undercarriage is one of the best I've ever come across. I've never understood undercarriages. I mean, it often seems to me like even on the really top of the line kits that the undercarriage design was always left to the intern or work experience kids to do. Some of them are shocking, even on really nice kits. I mean, if you've got different experience, definitely let me know, but you can see here, this is really nice fit. What I'm doing now is, because I want to do this metallic finish, I'm giving just Mr. Surfacer, I think it's 1500. And what I will do is I'll come over this pretty much in thinner and thinner layers, more dilute with Mr. Leveling Thinner. And that's how I get that mirror finish. One other thing, and this is just a general principle I tend to follow, is it's much better to do your experiments on a $20 or $30 kit, especially with something like metallic finishes, than trying to do it on a $200 kit, or worse, say a HK B17 $300. So you can see how I can get that really smooth finish by essentially melting that layer down, and effectively I think that's what Mr. Leveling Thinner does with these lacquers. If you're using Tamiya acrylics and stuff, you can get the same effect with Mr. Surfacer Leveling Thinner. So here I'm coming over with the silver. I'm just using, I think it's Super Silver Mr. Hobby, but what I do and you'll see this later, is I'll come back and I'll use a mix of, I think it's number 8, just regular silver, and even some of the more acrylic based silver as a final coat. The reason I do that, and I'm not entirely sure, it might be a bit crazy, is I noticed that using a mix of silvers in different layers, it almost helps break down that granular effect that you'll see. So you can see the finish I'm really starting to get at this point. Pretty happy with it. And you could even go further if you want, and that would be polishing the undercoat or the primer. If you do that, you can get an even better finish. But yeah, for me, I was happy with where this is at. And I'm a bit wary of being too polished. It is a real working aircraft at the end of the day. So I understand out of the factory it could look pretty shiny, but obviously dust and everything does build up over time. So yeah, this is pretty sweet at this point. You'll see also that there's a bit of those gaps in the wing root, but yeah, I wasn't too fussed in this case, especially if they're on the undersurface. I know that sounds like I'm cheating a bit, but I was really just wanting to see how this goes. So there you see 159 and number 8. So that's the 2 layers that I was mentioning, and just trying to get this really nice finish. And at this point, yeah, it's pretty cool. You can see there. And there. And there. so there's my budget way of doing it. And now here's onto crazy masking. Before I go there, I will just say I do use Alclad, and I've used AK. I've got a drawer full of metallics. It's one of those ones that I do experiment with a lot. But at this point, I've almost just defaulted back to just regular silver paints. Okay, what I'm doing here is spraying just clear coat. Because I've got a lot of masking to do, I wanted to make sure that this was really sealed, especially for that red nose. Okay, so now I'm onto the stripes on the aft section of the plane, coming over that silver with the white. I probably, in hindsight, should have measured this more, but still pretty happy with how it come out. And here's the test red going on. So this is where I didn't want to bleed through, but I did make a bit of a screw up myself here, and I'll show you why and explain later. But there you can see that red's going down. Interestingly, if you ever want to do the metallic red or a metallic base color, that shows you exactly how to do it. I don't want it to be metallic, I want it red, so I just come back and do subsequent coats to get that nice thick juicy red lipstick almost look. Doing the black now. I'll tend to always do the black painting last, and the obvious reason is that, yeah, black goes through into everything. So what I've done there is there's stripes, and you'll see here the masking is insane on this plane, but it's pretty cool. I should also say that with my masking, I don't use all Tamiya or whatever tape. I'll tend to use different tapes for different purposes. For detail work, obviously, I'll use more of my modeler's tape, whichever company. But for the bulk of it, just plain masking tape is fine. What I've had to do here is remove some of the tape so that I can do the olive green upper surface. Olive green XF58 Tamiya. I've been using a fair bit more Tamiya lately for different reasons. I probably should have come over with a white over the red, because from color theory, red and green are complements, so they'll darken each other. I used the blue tack, or whatever you call it overseas, purely because I didn't want a super hard edge there. I wanted a bit of a blurred edge, and that gives that soft side. As you see, also don't forget to subscribe and like. Definitely add comments. I love hearing from everyone. I do want to know what you think. Your thoughts and opinions always makes a big difference. So This is the fun part, sometimes a little bit scary because you hope it all goes well, especially when it's been almost like wrapped like a mummy here, the whole plane. But yeah, it's pretty sweet at this point. I get a real thrill when it all goes well. Even when it doesn't go well, it's normally not a big deal to fix. And you'll see here, this is exactly what happened. I screwed up and I had to come over on those red wing panels. The interesting thing here is, and the reason I left it is just to show you that it's easy to fix. You don't have to panic if you get something wrong. So what I've done in the background there is I just didn't want any more runs. So I used just acrylic silver over the top, fixed up those red squares. I've come in here, some gunmetal on the guns of the engine, because for that R2800 Pratt & Whitney, I even did a little bit of purple in there to add that authenticity. All of this is pretty neat. Like I say, for a $30 kit, pretty happy with it. And it's been a few months since I've even built a plane, so yeah, it was a nice one just to get back on the bike, so to speak. Everything pretty easy. No great dramas. And sometimes I think that's what you need. You don't always want to be getting too, in deep. I just needed something almost to clear my head. And like I say, I would highly recommend this kit. Is it the best P-47 out there? No. But for the money, like you can see here, you get a really nice plane that'll sit on the shelf. If you haven't done a P-47 or you're just looking for something just light, fun work, these type of kits is pretty cool. So this is the decals going on, no great dramas there. This is where I said I wish I had measured the black and white striping a bit, but again, I'd rather live and learn on a $30 kit than a $300 one. I don't want to make those sort of mistakes on HK models, B17 or something. That would just be painful. Although having said that, I don't think it's a big mistake. Probably my bigger mistake there was not really thinking about putting the decal over. So what I did have to come back and I touched up a bit of white here, like you'll see, just on the star and no bar, I suppose, just because that black was shining through. So that's one of those ones, definitely live and learn. And there it is. Hope you enjoyed that. I had fun building it. Definitely recommend it. See you in the next one. Thanks again. Bye.